4, 3, 2, 1. You are live. Hey, Federal Prison Talk here. My name's Sean. If you don't know who I am, well, I've done time in federal prison, guys. I started this channel 2, 3 years ago. Got a guy here with me today. He's been watching me all that time while he's been on pretrial, waiting to get sentenced, thinking and waiting he's going to prison. And I'm going to let you tell him all about it. And Darren, you want to say hi and let everybody give a little
Hey, Sean.
intro
Man,
there?
yeah, it's been a long 3 years, man. I been watching you and, preparing for prison. And I thought this conversation was going to be a different story. I actually thought that, I was going to be talking to you.
I got 10 days to go in, man. Yeah.
Got my designation letter. I'm shipping out in 45 days. That's what I thought this conversation was going to be. And to my surprise and a lot of people's surprise, it was, completely different. But yeah, I can kind of just give the background, I guess, and, to my crime and kind of talk and discuss that and segue into the sentencing and all that.
Anybody watching this, I'm sure anybody that's on pretrial, wow, how'd you get time served? How can I do that?
Right. Yeah. And to be completely honest and transparent, they can watch your channel. They can have the best, highest paid attorney in the world, do all the right things, not have any restitution to pay back, and position yourself in the best possible position and still get time. In fact, that's the expectation for a lot of folks. And I think, though, the reason why it's purposeful to watch your channel and to try to mitigate things is it's not a matter of, like you said so many times in your channel, when if I'm going to prison, it's when are you going? Because the majority of everybody goes.
Yeah, you're so rare of a case, but but that's what everybody wants. If it happened to him, it's going to happen to me.
Yeah, so mine is a bit of an anomaly. Like I said, you can do all the right things and you can still end up there. And I think it's important to hope for the best, but have the expectation of being realistic. And the realistic nature of the beast is this. I mean, I was charged with PPP loan fraud. There was an intended loss of over $330,000 with an actual
They have
loss.
not been happy about that too. They've been cracking down. So in Kansas, of all places where you got sentenced, just the odds were against you. I mean, it sounds like they were, but
yeah, they definitely were. The actual loss was over $100,000. I do live in Las Vegas, Nevada, but I used to live in Kansas about 5 years ago, and I had so people didn't know that I'm from Kansas, and I had a nonprofit that I started back 7 years ago. And at the time, I mean, I didn't start it to commit some fraud in the future,
So let me take a quick guess. The pandemic comes. I still got the paperwork, and from that company, I could, I could make something like that.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened. It's 2020 came, pandemic hit, got desperate, needed money, made a very ridiculously stupid decision. So it was a crime of opportunity. It was easy to get. I mean, it was. I think you were charged with doing the income tax fraud, and
and I was thought I found a loophole. Got guys out there panhandling and stuff. Well, if you tell the government you've been panhandling and you make cash, it's still an earned income, and I can get you some credits back, and that kind of stuff. What's wrong with that, right?
Right, a lot wrong with that, sure. And just like you, Sean. I mean, I wasn't born yesterday. We can't say, hey, I didn't know it was wrong. It was an accident, or somebody made me do it. That's not the case. So I knew it was wrong, and yet, I went and I filed for this PPP loan, and I was approved, but I used my charity that was in Kansas City that I started. So that's why I was charged out of the Eastern District of Kansas, as opposed to being charged here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I reside with my family.
Now, this charity, had you ever actually done anything with the charity, or had you just started all the paperwork?
So no, that's the crazy thing about it.
These dreams to do it, and you got it started, and then what? It just was on the back burner.
It was on the back burner. So I was in a prior relationship that at that time, our goal was we formed this. It was a 501c3 approved from the federal government.
That's what I work for now.
was all legit, and ready to go to be a legitimate, nonprofit entity. The goal of our mission was to rescue and help displaced animals, and that's not what I ended up using it for, obviously. So yeah, so I'll get into it.
Karma, hello. Saying hello.
Hey, so what happened was 2020 came. I did that loan, and it was a crazy year for everybody. Even more crazier than I thought I anticipated it was going to be for myself, even because I did that loan, and I'm a firm believer in karma. I'm a firm believer in,
you are.
You do good to people, good things will happen. And
right.
I had a guilty conscience doing the thing. I mean, and I was like,
man, that's got to be hard. Yeah.
It was messing my head up when I did it. And I was like, man, this is, gosh, it was just a sick feeling because I'm already like I'm 47. At the time I was 44. And I'm like, man, gosh, I just, this is bad, and I knew it was bad. And then I did it anyway.
At that time, people forget the whole world's locked up. How do you pull that off? We're all going to die anyways. It's the end of the world. It's the Walking Dead's coming any minute now. The dead will be rising up and eating flesh. And so what? Right? You're thinking like this during people forget, it wasn't long ago.
I mean, even our own household, like, it's funny you mention that because that's very serious. That is how, to an extent, we thought. We went and he purchased guns. And it's kind of ironic because, I can't have those now. And when I got on pretrial release, I had to immediately get rid of those.
Raheem, this is live. And Raheem is a guy who's been on my show before prison, after prison. Good to see you, Raheem.
Hey, salute. So, basically, in June of 2020, so I did the crime back in I think it was April or May of 2020. I wasn't caught or anything at that point. I took the funds and I got the $100,000, and it was hard to get the money out of the bank. I remember that because when I went and try to remove the money out of the bank,
nonprofit, especially our charity, it's
well, the fact of this was when I had the money deposited, it was deposited into a personal checking account that I created. So when I went to the bank to try to withdraw the funds, the bank was looking at me all kinds of crazy because it said SBA funds for PPP loan. And here it is, an individual coming out wanting to, this is me being naive, wanting to pull out $100,000 in cash. And they was like,
wait, don't work that way,
buddy. Done, sir. They were like, that's not how it's done. You have to let us know.
A red flag. They got we got to let the FBI know. And all you ask for your money. Ask for your money out of a bank, and it's like
correct.
They want to lock you up.
So, but what's kind of weird is the bank told me, the customer service told me, look, you can't just come in and withdraw the money, but what you can do is you can go ahead and basically wire the money to somebody else, and once it's in their account, they explained this to me like legit, and they says that person can go withdraw the money, and I got to thinking, I'm like, all right. Yeah. So I have a friend and you have
to offer him some money probably to do this, right?
Of course. Maybe. Yeah, that's the conspiracy. Sure. And so sent the money to his account, and we were able to go in and do it within several different withdrawals, not just pull 100,000 all out at once, obviously. So I got the money out. After several withdrawals, my friend and I did. He kept his portion, and I went straight to the casino out here in Las Vegas, and I'm not kidding you. Not kidding you. I went
slots or cards or what?
I went straight to South Point Casino, and I legitimately, and the feds know this because they came out and they investigated all this to be accurate, because they want to know, where's that money, right? Did you buy anything with it? What do you have to show for it? Because they're going to repossess it. They want their money back.
Cars, whatever you bought, they're taking back.
I told them the truth, and then and it's all on camera. And so I went to the South Point Casino, and I legitimately lost all that money within about 15 minutes on the craps table.
What? 100 grand in 15 minutes?
Yep. I dropped it all off in cash, and I lost
it.
Boy,
talk about karma, huh? Wow.
So get this. So I did that, and my whole goal, my deranged, delusional way of thinking at that time was, you know what? I have to do this, and I have to do this quick because I have to double it. and then I have to pay it back, and I'm just gonna
like
feel better about
Phil
it.
was saying, what were you thinking?
And I'm gonna feel so much better about it because after I pay it back, everything's gonna be better, right? Not the case. Not the case. I lost the money, and I went home beyond depressed, and I was like, oh no, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. And to add insult to injury on that, literally in June of 2020, I got a phone call from my ex-wife, and she told me that my 21-year-old son that had planned on coming out from Kansas, he still lived in Kansas, he just turned 21 in November, so he's about 21 and a half years old now, and he was addicted to all kinds of drugs, Xanax bars, and just different things, and just different pills. Basically, he popped pills is what he did, and I got a terrible phone call saying that he is unconscious. They're running him to the hospital, and tragically, he died. And so that was very, very painful. What was even more painful that he died from a drug overdose was the fact that I spent more time concerned about breaking the law so I can go gamble this money that I lost, and I didn't even have money to fly out to my own son's funeral in Kansas. And talking about feeling the karma and being like beyond depressed and just feeling like the worst dad in the entire world, and not even having the money to fly out there. And this is legit. Like, I didn't have the money to fly out there. I called up the South Point Casino and spoke to the general manager there, Greg Fisher. Not kidding you. Shout out to Greg
for a
Fisher.
refund or what?
Sorta. I said, hey man, I said, I lost $100,000. He says, yeah, no, I know you. What do you want? I'll give you whatever you want. You want hotel room comps, food? What do you need? And I was like, nah, man. I said, can you just buy me a plane ticket to round trip so I can go out to Kansas to my son's funeral? And he was like, oh my God, are you serious? I said, yeah, you can Google it, man. It's legit. I mean, I'm sure you probably get a lot of stories and everything, but you can check it out. It's all legit. It happened. And he says, I'm gonna do you one better. He says, go in to the casino, go to the pit, and you're gonna speak to a lady by the name of Joanne. And I said, who's that? And he says, it's gonna be a lady. She's a casino shift boss. I'm gonna call her right now, and she's gonna have an envelope, and it's gonna have $3,000 in cash for you. Go do what you gotta do.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I didn't gamble it.
All right.
No, I took it.
No?
Got a plane ticket, and I went out there. But that happened. And but just goes to show you that it's just crazy, like how life can be. 1 minute things are going good, the next minute like you lost all the money. One of your kids is now gone, and you don't have any money now. It's just like all bad. So after that happened, I think that's kind of was my turning point. It wasn't even the fact that later on, as we'll go into it, that I got charged, but that was what I think really kind of changed me, because it's like, man, I should have spent more time and concerned about raising my kids, and then less worried about me and being selfish.
So this PPP loan, the $100,000 you got, now this is the loan. You knew you'd have to pay it back too, right?
Yeah.
And so you just basically thought you got away with getting a loan. Now I got to pay it back. You didn't think you didn't think.
Nope. So what happened was this, Sean. So later on, so months had passed, and I want to say back in September, I would say. So a couple months more had passed, and we're now in September. I get a random phone call, and it was so random. And it was like, I didn't know the number, didn't recognize the number, but I answered it. And the guy was like saying, hi, this is such and such with the PPP loans. And we want to know, we're just doing a questionnaire. We want to know if, how did you enjoy it? Did you like it? How was customer service? And I was thinking, man, something don't sound right about this. But then what really got me hip to what was happening was he said, so would you be interested in another PPP loan? Because we could definitely give you another one. And I'm thinking in my head, nah, this don't sound right. Like, that's not how this works. That's like, I knew I did enough research to know that this is not how this works. And I was like immediately I'm cutting the conversation like really short at that time. And then he says, oh, it says you live in Kansas City. This guy did on the phone. It was the feds. And I was like, yeah, I did it one time. And he says, how about those Kansas City Chiefs, huh? And I was like,
You know, like
man,
that talk we were having the other day.
I was like, man, all right, thank you, but I got to go. So that happened. That's done. So another month had passed, and now we're in like October. I get a phone call from my ex that she was also on the nonprofit organization that I created. And she was clueless to what happened, any of this. She had nothing to do with any of this. But she called me up and she said, I had some federal agents show up at my work and my apartment and wanting to talk to me. And they left a business card, and my heart dropped. I was like, oh, shoot. I now know that phone call plus now this. And she says,
yeah.
do you have any idea what they would be at my door for, wanting to talk to me for? And I was like, no.
No,
and keep in mind, Sean, what she didn't know actually helped her, because she legitimately didn't know about any of this.
good.
And if
Yeah.
I would have told her, then now she is now just knowing.
Now she knows it's having knowledge of, conspiracy of, and
Yeah.
Holding back evidence, and all,
That's right.
all,
If you omit anything. So yeah, so she went in with her attorney, and she proffered. In fact, part of when I got an attorney and I went in, I flew out to Kansas City, I got to hear her proffer. I got to listen to the audio, and I heard everything. And she didn't say anything out of line. I mean, everything was legit and true, and that she didn't have nothing to do with it, and this and that. And so anyway, that happened. I ended up looking, now I needed representation. And I was like, do I call an attorney out here in Las Vegas? Do I call an attorney out in Kansas City? I have no idea.
But now you don't have any money now either, right? So how are you going to pay for an attorney?
I'm broke. So I had what my go-to has always been was poker. And so I had people who would financially back me for cash.
Well, why'd you go to the craps table then if your go-to's poker?
Right. Exactly. First of all, I should never got the loan. But second of all, I should have never gone to the craps table. I was so impulsive, and my whole life I've been impulsive, and it was just compounded the bad decisions.
Had you ever had that kind of money in your hand before?
Yeah. From gambling, I have. But it was never stolen. It was never of ill-gotten.
So it's not worth as much when it's stolen? Is that what you it felt dirty?
It's just like I felt like I felt dirty about having it and how I got it, and I felt like I need to hurry up and do whatever I'm going to do with this and get rid of it and pay it back.
So you can get more? You're going to gamble it to get more?
Gamble it, yeah, to pay bills and do whatever.
That washes it for you in your mind? I'm just wondering.
At that time, right? That's the way, the delusional way of thinking was. So yeah, there was no accident about it. It's like, hey, I knew what I was doing was absolutely bogus, and if it goes good, it's bogus. If it goes bad, it's more bogus, because it's like, now who's going to get caught holding the bag? Me, right? Like, I mean, so my co-defendant and I did what we did, and we did not get away with it, needless to say. So once I got representation, and I told my co-defendant about it, I said, look, this is happening, and they're going to see that I wired the money to you if they don't already know, because that's just where they do. They trace the money. The money went to my bank.
All day long. They got guys, that's all they do is watch money being traced.
Yeah, it's very easy. So when I hired this attorney named David Bell, shout out to David Bell out of Kansas City.
Yeah, and I wanted to get to that because towards the end there, but because I've always said get a public defender when it comes to the feds, save your money. Even he told you that. You told me.
He did.
I get to give props to this guy. We'll get into him a little later. But
and what was cool about the dude is he told me from the gate. He said, "Look, Darren," he says, "I'm not going to lie to you." He said, "You probably," and I told you this the other day, Sean, that he said, "You're probably better off." He says, "I'm not going to be the most affordable." He said, "You're probably better off saving your money, and because I can't promise you that even if you paid it all back by sentencing day, with the amount that you stole and the intended loss, I'm not going to sit and BS with you about and tell you everything you want to hear. That's what most attorneys will do. I can't promise you that you're not going to touch prison." And
most attorneys will tell you, "Oh, I know the prosecutor, and my brother-in-law is married to the sister. We all have lunch today every Sunday." Yeah, well, it's almost like law school 101. This little sales pitch that they all know the prosecutor and the judge and the DA, and they're all like big families. So yeah, hire me. And what? How does that help me, anyways? But yeah, he
Exactly.
didn't do that pitch to you, huh? They didn't do that pitch to you, huh?
He didn't do that pitch to me. He told me, he said, "Hey, realistically, and I'm just shooting straight with you. You might go to prison, but the best thing we can do to help mitigate the situation is you can follow my direction and try to get the money paid back and try to fix whatever caused this. What with the impulse control, maybe need to go to counseling or see a therapist, and we'll do all these things, but you might be better off getting a public defender if you have to weigh out your head in your head. Like if you're going to go to prison, that money might be better off allocated towards your family. So there you go.
That's a good man, a good lawyer there.
My main thing though was like my initial need for an attorney or David Bell specifically was he knew the federal law because I looked him up, looked up his reviews, and my main concern was my door hasn't been kicked in yet. I haven't been approached. I know that they are looking into me based upon the information that I just explained to you, Sean, just now.
So you haven't had a target letter or anything, nothing.
Nope.
No.
But I know based upon that phone call that I had,
they're coming. They're coming. Right?
I know they're coming. And had I not gotten some sort of representation to get ahead of this somewhat a little bit, I know that it was only a matter of time before I got arrested, got detained, and had to go before a judge, a magistrate, to find out if I'm going to get pretrial release, which most likely you do on white collar crime, or not. So I got him, and he was like, well, immediately I'm going to need a minimum of $2,000. So I got that together, $2,000, and that was just the beginning of the journey. Like, ended up being a heck of a lot more. That's not even 1/10 of what it ended up costing, but I ended up paying that, and he immediately gave me some answers. He says, yes, they are investigating you. This is what's going to happen. These are your options. This is what you're going to have to come in here, and we're going to have to sit down with the prosecutor and maybe, have a proffer. And the best case at mitigating your situation is talking with them and laying all the cards out about your crime and not omitting anything. Didn't say admit, omit.
Omit.
Omit. Completely different word.
Oh, you forgot to mention that, huh? Yeah, that omit.
Yeah. So, that definitely is a key thing. So for people that are watching, and if you're in a situation and your attorney or you have a court appointed, doesn't matter, but you have an attorney at some point in this situation, you can do a proffer. You don't go in there and BS them, because they already know about 95, I don't know what the percentage, but they know pretty much everything about what you did already. So they're going to ask you test questions.
The responsible accountability part where you get.
They're gonna test you. They're gonna ask to see if you're being truthful. They're gonna ask you stuff that they already know about that you don't think that they know about, and they did that to me.
And they're testing you to see if you're going to be honest with them or not.
That's right.
And this is the telling on yourself part. This is where I did it too. A lot of people do it. You tell on yourself, but while you're in there, what you said, I had 8 or 9 lawyers. I don't know who was who, which I had the Treasury, the IRS, I think the FBI, the CIA, the IAA, whoever else, right? And my one little public defender lawyer. And you, yeah. And who were you up against?
So it was OIG, Department of Treasury. There's all these federal agents in there. I don't drink soda anymore, so I drink. I drink
and you have the NSA. That's no such agency. Were they there?
So I don't know who these people. There's so many of them. They're acronyms and stuff, and it was pretty intimidating because you have the AUSA that's prosecuting you. And first thing I said was, I looked at the prosecutor. I says, I'm doomed, aren't I? And I said that sincerely. Like, I looked him dead in the eye. He was sitting right to my immediate left. And first thing he said to me was, he says, Darren, he said, I got a question. He said, how come you didn't tell us about the EIDL loan? And I'm thinking, oh my God, like they legitimately know above and beyond everything. And I hadn't even known that they known that, but we went into that for sure.
Well, you didn't
And
ask me.
so,
That's why I didn't tell you, right? I know what do you
yeah,
say.
so but I was like literally trying to lay all the cards out on the table, and he cut me off, and he said, "Look, you need to
Come clean all the way. Right?
come clean all the way and let us know. I mean, we already know, obviously, but you need to, if you want this to have any longevity, paraphrase, and he didn't say it in those exact words, but he was like, you're gonna have to stop the BS basically, and let's talk. What's going on here?
Have you been indicted yet, though? At this
So
point,
I think, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that I actually, I think so. I think
I
so.
think you
Yeah, where you
almost
have that
have
thing,
to.
United States versus the
Yeah,
United.
yeah, where they had a little private meeting without you and the
Correct.
jury not of your peers and this grand jury. Everybody decides just out of a hunch that you're guilty, and that's good enough for them. So, but now you can go prove your innocence. In
Yeah.
the meantime, yeah. So yeah, and I mean, because I always like to say I must have missed that month in civics class, and they tore those chapters out of my book, anyways. But I
Yeah.
can't find it in the Constitution, so I guess they I don't know how they got rid of all that part, but somehow this is all legal.
Yeah. So I definitely think that doing the right thing by explaining everything, just coming clean is going to be in anybody's best option.
Yeah,
And
because
I
they are,
think
like you said, they already know. That's why they had the grand jury. That's why they did all that. They already know,
they already
and
know.
they are going to try to get you to little talk about other people, and they have their little sideways to do it. So be
Sure.
careful. But
So,
uh,
but the thing about it is this, though, at least in my particular situation, like I told you, the money went to my account, and then it went to another person's account, my co-defendant, and I didn't have to tell on him. Like, they seen the money go to his account, and during my proffer, prior to my proffer, my attorney got to let me look at the discovery, and in that discovery, it's all digital. I got to see me, my co-defendant, going into the bank, withdrawing the money from his account. So they already knew
they got a
everything.
video of you doing all
They
this.
had video. They had everything. They had
It's
my audio
amazing.
calls. They had, when I say they had my audio calls, it was creepy. They had everything. Um,
So
it was
Big Brother does exist then.
it
You know,
was
the
straight out of the
1980
movies.
George Orwell's 1984, Big Brother referencing, guys, if you don't know what that is, but
It was straight out of the movie, Sean. Like, I was like, wow. I was beyond shocked. I was like, is this the wow? They had me dead to rights. Like, what do they need me for? They got me.
well, here's really what it comes down to is if they can just you do this so that you don't take it all the way to jury trial and try to fight, which you're going to lose anyways.
So
And
here's the other thing. So
so
I
you're
have a
going to save
co-defendant.
all that money from having a trial and a real jury and all that. So and I guess in their way you're saving the taxpayers' money. Plus they can close it all right now and just convict you and go on to the next guy.
Correct.
There's got to be more to it than that too. But I mean,
So
that's
they
the
had
theory.
my co-defendant, right? And not in custody, but they wanted the conspiracy charge. Okay. Had I just done this, and if my co-defendant didn't even know about anything, he was just innocent, he might have gotten charged too of some other kind of charge, and I may have gotten charged too to some other kind of charge. It wouldn't have been a conspiracy. And just like I know, I found out, more than I know actually on this, but when you're charged with a conspiracy, that's they don't need to charge you. They don't need to overcharge you and charge you with 10 more crimes. The conspiracy, you get 20 years. Statutory.
If you tell me about a crime you did, and I don't say nothing, and they come after you, but I knew, and they found out I knew, and I'm going down too.
It's conspiracy.
I was just walking by. The guy was at the bus stop. I don't know. Yeah, I heard their crime, but I kept walking. I got to go to prison now. Yeah.
To see my name on the paperwork saying Darren Atterbury versus the United States of America, and it carries a potential sentence statutory of 20 years, meaning the sentencing guidelines are just guidelines. The judge can give you, if he wanted to, legally, 20 years. And
they do it sometimes.
And they do it sometimes. So knowing that is a very eerie feeling. It's not like you went and just shoplifted it in the state, system, and the maximum sentence is like, what, I don't know, depending on the merchandise, maybe a year you're looking at, but most likely you might get probation if it's your first offense. No, you're looking at the feds, and the feds hand out time like it's nobody's business. Like they hand out 5, 10, 15, 20 years daily for
yeah, and that's before they take lunch, you know.
it's so crazy the amount of time that the feds hand out by comparison to state crimes in a similar situation. I mean, it's just amazing. So that happens.
And let me just throw this in, because I did time with guys who I asked, why are you in here? And you know, they had won. They took things to the grand jury, took it all the way to trial, won their case. 3 years later, they came back, and now they're doing time for, because they have all these charges they don't throw at you, they hold in reserve. If you take it to trial and you're the 2% who win, 2 or 3 years later, you're going to be back. They're not going to give up till they get a win. And a win to them just could be that as long as you're convicted and you're put on probation, it's still a win to them. But they're never going to let you just walk away a winner, ever.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to be a gambler to know that the odds are so stacked against you. And once you see in the discovery, like they literally seen me and my co-defendant walking in and to the bank, and like I never did one. The answer to your question is no. I haven't. I got ahead of it, and I hadn't even gotten arrested. Like I went in on my own volunteer to do a proffer. And I sat down with the AUSA, and that's when the time started, as far as like not time, you know, as far as in custody, but time as far as, you know, going, sorry, as my dog's barking, but time as far as just the weight game, because it like literally took 3 years.
Maybe they're raiding your house right now. You better go check what the dogs are barking about.
No. But I will go here in a second, go lock them up for sure.
Oh,
nobody wants to be locked up. I know how the iron.
So just remember, when your dogs are on a leash, you're on a leash now too.
I am on a leash. So yeah, it's unheard of. It is crazy. It's not unheard of. It's just very, very, very rare. My situation is a very, very rare situation. You know, I definitely, you know, lost a lot of my reputation, like even in the poker world. Like people, once they heard about it,
right there, ATL's got the big question for you right there.
Yeah. So, okay. So basically, that's a good question. How did I serve 3 years pretrial? So when you have a paid attorney, this is the plus side of it, that you can technically, I didn't have like upwards of $25,000, $27,000. And I was charged with PPP loan fraud with a loss amount of over $100K, intended loss of over $330,000. And so since I had a paid attorney, they kept pushing as they say, kicking the can down the road, like just pushing the court dates out. And that was what happened mostly.
Here, I mean, I was 4 years on pretrial, so I know.
Yeah. So, you know, that's
normal in the Fed. So
it's moved so agonizingly slow that, yeah, you almost think like you said so many times on your show, that all your friends are telling you, hey, you're just going to get probation no matter what.
That's why you check into court, you're on probation. They're not going to send you to prison now, dude. Don't even check it, right?
Yeah, so I knew, like, nobody gets probation. Like, nobody. Like, it's just unheard of. Like, unless you have all the money paid back, you're a first-time offender, and you're in Zone A. Like, I was, like, in Zone D. First of all, come on with karma. I've already been sentenced, so I can talk about this. But I do appreciate good looking out on that.
Yeah.
And you are right. That's why I waited until after I was sentenced to be able to talk, you know, as transparent about the whole case that I can with you guys, maybe to kind of help prepare anybody who's watching this, to put them in the best possible situation, the best you can anyway. Because like I said, you can do all the best things possible and still get prison time. And I was prepared mentally and psychologically to self-surrender.
But there are ways to reduce your sentence before you get sentenced. At least in I mean, I have actually shows where people have done that, and they thought they were getting 8 years, and they got 18 months.
Right.
There's a lot of work involved.
I was in Zone D.
A lot of that work. You
I
know?
was in zone D. I think my score was like, I want to say 16 or 17. So I was looking at least 30 plus months. So that's 3 years, right? Of course, then you can start reducing from there based
Yeah,
upon
just do
the
all the
things like you were
subtractions
saying.
and all that.
But I did the acceptance responsibility, it knocked me down to 15, but I'm still in zone D. And like to be probation even eligible, I mean the judge can do what he wants to do, but to really get probation, you want to be in zone A. First of all, you don't want to be in any of the zones, period. You
Right,
don't want to
right,
be in
right.
any of the zones. You don't want to be in the situation. But they
Yeah,
couldn't
zone
count any
eight
of
for
my
like drunk driving through a federal owned park or something like that. You might get 6 months probation,
stealing
which is
some pens out of the exchange while on military base or something
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. Right, right.
You
Flipping off a
know,
forest ranger, fishing without a fishing license on
littering on Federal
federal
Bureau
property.
of Land,
Yeah, that's a,
something illegal dumping, right? Of trash or something. But
actually that's a big one. They're giving 2, 3, 4, 5 years. People pouring chemicals down their sidewalk drain and stuff. All
yeah,
kinds. That one's you get more trouble than you think for those ones. Did a
oh, I
lot of time.
believe it. One thing is for sure, it's very humbling because during the whole 3 years, all I did was look up similar cases, and
Yeah.
I'm seeing people that were getting sentenced to 2, 3, 4, 5 years plus for having $20,000, $30,000 PPP loans that were paid back going into sentencing. I hadn't paid one penny going back in, to them going into sentencing, and so I still have over $100,000 debt to the feds.
Well,
And
do you think this is a trend now? The pandemic and the hardcore sentencing of the PPP scam people that they made their message, they made their
no,
point, so now
nope,
they're being lesser, or you're
nope,
just no.
no.
So
It's
somebody
an
that's still
anomaly.
because they're
It's an
still going
anomaly.
after people for this, right?
It's an
They're still
anomaly, and I'm very humble about it. This is not me doing a victory lap of hey, I did this, and look at me, I'm free.
No, I know you're not because we've been talking and
No,
you've been telling me
yeah,
as soon as you get
no. This
sentenced.
was a
No, no.
humbling experience. There's not a day during that 3 year time that I feel like I've already did 3 years
You
because
did. You did. Pretrial's hell, man. Pretrial is hell.
so
The
after I
one
went
with
to the
the
proffer,
whole
right?
thing.
After I did the proffer, I came back home to Vegas, and I thought everything was everything, but no, they're still trying to capture my co-defendant, and my co-defendant took a different route. He had a lot of priors. He was like, "F this," I'm not talking to them, and he just took a different route. Like he was literally living in a transit situation, didn't know where he was living, and they wanted him. And so they came. One day I was walking. I'm not kidding you. I was walking in my neighborhood, and on my way home, I saw a car coming down my street. This is the craziest thing, Sean. Down my street, zooming. And there's three guys in suits. And the only reason why I saw that is because they had to stop at the stop sign at my cul-de-sac. And anyway, they're driving, right? Pretend like this is them driving. They all were looking at me like this. They had their shades on. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I made eye contact with them, they went like this real quick.
Ooh,
And
really?
I'm like,
That's too surreal movie like.
yeah. So I'm like, what in the world? And I knew that they're trying to get my co-defendant. And I had his number because I remember I met these feds in Kansas City during the proffer. And I was like, yeah, I don't, he calls me when he calls me, but I don't know where he lives. Honestly, I don't. And that's legit. And that's the straight up truth. I had no idea where he was. And he legitimately was calling me from random numbers. And I was telling him too, I was like, look, man, they want to talk to you. It's no secret. I'm not here to set you up. Like, just call them. They want to talk to you.
Hey,
And so
let me ask.
immediately they're like, the feds answered the phone, and it was like, yeah, that was us. That was us.
Oh, really? They said that.
They
Wow.
flew out from Kansas City and stalking me. They were stalking me. And you know why? Because they thought that obviously my co-defendant and we hung out. They thought that they're going to catch him with me or something. And they wanted him. They wanted him. He's a part of the conspiracy. So, anyway, so check this out. So they came to my house, they showed up, and they was wanting to come in my house, man. And I was like, man, I don't know about all that. Man, I had my kids and my girl, and her dad was visiting from out of town. And there
They
was in
don't
my
care,
garage,
man.
and there was a lot of agents, man. There was like, I'm not kidding you. They had 3 agents, 2 from Kansas City, 1 from Washington, D.C., and then they had marshals with them, federal marshals here in
Oh,
Vegas.
yeah, the marshals. I forgot about them, yeah.
Man, the marshals had a drone, man. They had a drone in my backyard see if maybe my co-defendant was going to run out the back or something. And it was crazy, man. So I was like, nah, I don't really feel comfortable you all coming in my house like that.
They
So
don't
because
care.
I said that, I was like, looking guilty as hell. Like I looked like I'm harboring him in my house is what it looked like. And I know that. I know that's what it looked like. I mean, even you hearing this, it sounds like I'm harboring him in my house. Like you can't come in, and I get it. So I
Here's
left.
a guy, you see this comment here, he's kind of similar to yours, but he still got 18 months.
Yeah, and salute, man. I got very fortunate. I didn't get any time. I just got 2 years. What do you call it?
He didn't even get the full
Probation.
3 years that they normally get. Wow. I mean, in Kansas, this is just. But
Yeah.
the whole karma thing. And I mean, what? Because I mean, you went through hell to get there, and I know he did too, and everybody else goes through hell, and they still get sentenced. And what do you say to somebody like that? I mean,
I don't even know what to say because honestly, I somehow it worked out for me, and I can't say that I did anything better than that person that just commented. And I think he paid it back, right? He had his payback.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, salute to you. Shout out to you for that. Man, I got very fortunate. I did, and I know that. I'm very humble in that. I'm not, I don't take any kind of like, acknowledgement of saying, hey, man, I did it, and I got away with anything. I was just very, very lucky and fortunate that somehow the stars aligned for me and the judge and my prosecutor, the AUSA out there in Kansas City. And here's another thing. This prosecutor is known for being very harsh. In fact, some of the sentencing day, how they do it in Kansas City, there's people that were getting sentenced by him in there, and he was prison. People were going to prison right and left. I was the only one out of custody on my sentencing date that was there in a suit. Everybody else was in shackles and in prison uniforms or county uniforms. And so I don't know how I got in a situation.
You're going against the good old boy network too, right? In Kansas, I imagine they have that out there still, right? You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know too much about. Like I said, I don't know. All I know is it's a very eerie feeling going in there, knowing that hey, I could very easily get prison sentence today, and if the judge wanted to, he can give me an above the guideline sentence.
Yeah, upward spiral. Yeah,
upward spiral. He can give me a downward, which I'm hoping for. And I was very fortunate that I got the time served, which it sounds crazy because I didn't serve not a 1 day, but that's just the term they do. You've seen the paperwork. It says time served.
Yeah.
And
Sure
2 years supervised release, which is crazy, the supervised release aspect, because for 3 years I was on unsupervised release, and now I'm on supervised release, which, hey, I'm not complaining. It's just, it was a little bit backwards in that sense. I thought that it would have been the opposite, like maybe supervised release during the pretrial, but I reported to nobody for that 3 years at all. And that's it. So here's some things that I was going to go into that I think helped my situation, at least.
Oh, good.
That I think, here's the best thing that I could have done for me, my situation. And
Turn this.
so the first thing is this. Character reference letters, as you preach, are very instrumental. I think you don't need to overdo it. Like you say, you don't need to have 100.
Don't make them work for it. Don't give them 30 letters. Or really, now they got to work and read and all.
That's right. They just want to get a good idea. They don't want some templates. They just want somebody that's authentic. Like they would give more, I think. And I'll go into that. Kill 'em all with karma. That comment, they're wanting to catch your co-defendant is probably what helped you out at prison time. So I'll go into that. I'm gonna segue into that here in a second, respond to that comment, because you bring up a valid point. So, but here we'll go one thing at a time. So the character reference letters are key. Having all your tickets and warrants squashed, because I had several. You just unpaid tickets here and there, you know.
Yeah, you do got to take. I had some crossing the bridge without paying things because I didn't care I was going to prison, but it almost stopped me.
Because that's gonna help your designation and your level and everything like that. If you have like warrants and stuff like that, and you know, your PSI, you know, it's very instrumental as far as your designation and stuff like that. You want to, like, for example, during your PSI interview, it's awkward, but they're going to ask you, like, what are your traits? What do you like to do? What, you know, that's going to help you for your job when you're designated to prison.
Yeah.
And as much as I was telling the pretrial or not the probation officer, I was like, you know, thinking in my head, why are you burning bread on me? Like, I don't want to go to prison. I'm claustrophobic. I'm a bad candidate for incarceration, you know, trying to make a funny, you know, but, you know, even though federal prison camp is not that situation, you know, I just didn't want to go. And she was asking me, so when you go to prison, what kind of job are you wanting to do? And I'm thinking,
job. I'm not going
to go to prison.
I don't want to go to work. And what do you mean a job? I get all that. Yeah. But no, if you're going to a camp, you're working. Okay. It's work.
But my response was like, well, I don't want to go to the prison.
Yeah, I'm not going to, yeah. I know. And I didn't, when I was on pretrial, I don't want to hear about a halfway house because I'm not even going to prison, man. Who cares about that? Probation later on? I'm not going to prison. I don't want to go to prison. Don't you get it? I get it.
So number one, character reference letters, as you preach all the time, Sean, they're key. And I've seen you teaching people that, and that's very important. Having all your tickets and warrants squashed, that's very important. Okay, so even if you have little ones, make sure they're squashed.
You get pulled over for no headlight, for your headlight out, and you go, it's something, and you don't take care of it. You don't have a cop write it off, and I should send it to the courthouse, but you don't have a stamp, and I forget about it. You can end up doing time in a medium penitentiary, just because of that, man.
That's right.
You know?
You want to put on it's an interview, right? You want to put on the best impression, the best version of yourself that you can. And what I mean by that is you want to wear something respectable. You want to wear.
I recommend hanging and all this. Yeah,
I recommend wear a suit. I do. I personally do. That's my.
Well, shirt, tie, and a suit, man. That's just the old way it's always been in the courthouse.
This is the feds, and this is Kansas, where I went to court. Very Republican state, very conservative Catholic state. You know, you want to dress not necessarily a loud suit. You don't want to do that. You don't ever want to overdress, right?
Yeah,
but you want to wear something respectable. You want to look like those people that knock on your door that say, "Hey, you know, we'd like to talk to you about maybe religion or something," right? You want to just look respectable. That's all. And you want your posture. You want to look the judge in his eye.
I got suits hanging right over there. I got some for men and for women because I'm helping people. Some of them still have to go to.
So check this out. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't own a suit. And you know, I was like, I had to go and get fitted for all that stuff, you know, and you know, that was awkward too, you know, because I've never. That's not how I dress. I never had a suit. I had to YouTube. I had to tie a tie. I'm not even making this up. I'm not making that up.
A lot of people, especially nowadays, the youngsters, man. Oh, I won't be caught dead in a suit. What do you think I am? My grandfather?
Sean, I stumbled through putting on the tie. Even walking through YouTube, I'm like having to stop, reverse it, 10 seconds play. And I'm like, it's not looking right on me.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality. So, okay, so you want to have good character reference letters. You want to squash your tickets. Let me read this comment. I remember my cousin went to court in shorts and it was directed right back out of court. Yeah. So even in a regular courtroom, you can't wear hats. You can't wear shorts, tank tops. That's just common sense, right? But in the feds, this is a very intimidating situation. It's all eyes, like Tupac said, all eyes on me. All the eyes are on you. You are the center of attention. They're all there for you. Like you have.
And they've been watching your life in front. You know, they've been watching you and hearing you the whole time. You're the star of their.
They know more about you. Like you said, you're the star. They know more about you than you do yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. that probation officer's whole sole assignment, and it didn't just happen overnight. It took time to compute what kind of person you are. And you have to show the judge that, hey, I'm not this person on this piece of paper that did this terrible thing. I am a human being. I'm personable. I'm likable. I'm a good guy that made a terrible decision. If you go in there making excuses, you're going to be in a bad situation. You can't say, well, my friend made me do it, or I was manipulated.
I had to feed my family. Oh, that's a classic there.
They don't want to hear that. They want to know. Just think about it, Sean. If I do something to you, let's say I came and I accidentally threw a ball through your window and knocked your window out. Well, I mean, you want to know, that I'm going to pay it back. Hell, I haven't even paid it back at that point. But you want to know how it's not going to happen again. How did it happen in the first place?
Yeah. And what are you doing? What are you doing now to show remorse and help?
Right.
And assure me that it's not going to happen again. I don't know if I can just take your word for it.
In addition, you want that sincere, heartfelt apology when I knock on your door saying, hey, Sean, my bad. I'm going to pay it back. I shouldn't have did it to begin with. It's not going to happen again because I'm going to go play ball down the street at the park where I should be playing.
I've got signs posted everywhere. Me and the guys, we play at the ballpark now. If anybody ever goes over the yard, I warn them. I've got the word out. I do everything I can now, so your window will never get broken again. And I'm so sorry.
You want to. That's right.
Yeah.
You want to know that it's not going to happen again, and that I am giving you from the soul a heartfelt, sincere, not a sarcastic or because my significant other or somebody's making me do it. Yeah. You want to know that I genuinely you feel that I'm sorry.
My grandmother's gonna die. You can't send me away.
Right.
If you got all that going on in your life, what the hell were you doing robbing the bank? Okay. Right. Really. You obviously don't care about your sick grandmother and your kids, or you wouldn't have been committing the crimes. This is what the judge thinks.
That's right. So
I don't care what anybody.
So I'm going to segue into that last one of the last things is the allocution. That's we kind of just nailed it. Like, you want to give a sincere, heartfelt apology addressing everything I just mentioned, how it should have never happened to begin with, how bad you feel about that it did happen, how it's not going to happen ever again, and why is it not going to happen again? What's different this time around?
Yeah, convince me it's not going to happen again.
Why is it not going to happen again?
Convince me why the guy that they arrested, the guy here today, convince me that you've done something to change. And that's where the hard work comes in. Okay.
So what I did, though, Sean, as soon as I was charged with it immediately, and I did this for all the right reasons, not because I knew that I was getting charged. And I say this genuinely. I knew I had impulsive control situations my whole entire life. I know that. And I know that, hey, this is a rude awakening. Like, this shouldn't have ever happened. So I've been seeking a therapist, not just regular random counselor from up the street, my neighbor. No, an authentic acronym. What I mean by acronym, like, it has all these different acronyms, PhD, etc., all these things, went to college degrees and all that. I've been seeking a counselor, therapist for, at first it was weekly, and then it went to every 2 weeks. And then by the time my sentencing, I'm now at monthly. But it's all documented.
If you're on pretrial and you're not seeing a therapist, ask. They will pay for it. Okay, they will pay for it. So
the resources are there if you need to go, but you need to find out what happened to why you made this type of behavior. If it's aberrant behavior, then you need to kind of get a grip on it. If it's alcoholism is your situation, perhaps not you specifically, just in a general term. If it's your situation that's watching, then you need to get some sort of control over it. And I think going into sentencing date, if you can show, not just say, oh, I did this and did this and did this, but if you can have a therapist write a letter stating that, hey, this person did all this, and
they will ask them. And I had several letters too, and
it'll help mitigate.
It will. And these therapists, people that go to school to learn how to become psychiatrists, you know why people go to school and take that as a subject? Because they're interested in helping people. So maybe give them a chance and let them help you. Quit being resistant. I used to be that guy who was, they don't even understand me. Why would I want to go see some? Because they dedicated their whole life to learning how to help people. And here you are. Give them that chance,
That's sound advice. Definitely.
You got to get over yourself. Get over yourself. You're not that important, okay?
That's right. That's right. You're right. So acceptance of responsibility is obviously crucial, and it's easy to say that. You can go in there and say, "Your Honor, I'm sorry. I own up to it." I mean,
And
that
that's all
doesn't
great.
sound,
I
that doesn't
just
sound
had 10 guys
authentic.
before you said the same thing. So
That doesn't sound authentic, though. It
no,
sounds
doesn't.
like your significant other or your boss or somebody's making you do that. You have to genuinely look the prosecutor, and the victim in my case was the government. So when it came to me apologizing in my allocution, I turned and I looked at the prosecutor and I said, hey, I'm genuinely sorry to the government, for betraying the trust and doing this, and and I don't take this lightly, and there's not a day that goes by that I haven't gave it some serious thought or consideration to what I've done, and you have to be passionate. I think in the delivery, I think if you want to read from a piece of paper, that's fine.
Yeah,
I think it's fine to read from a piece of paper. I did.
It's fine to hold on to it and maybe refer to it, but speak from that heart, man.
You really want to deliver it in such a way that you're genuinely making that person feel what they should be feeling, and that you are being transparent, very straightforward with them, because this is what they do for a living. That judge this is what he does. Like, you're thinking in your head, like, don't judge me. Like, no, it's what they do. They judge for a living.
And this is like Judgment Day, the most important day of your entire life. Maybe your wedding was too, and maybe the day you were born. You're not going to be there for your funeral, so you don't get to make that speech. So this is the Judgment Day, man, that you get on this planet, man. Make it. It's real, so you'll never forget your sentencing day. And if you
going up there and telling them about how you got 5 kids to feed and you dogs and cats, and
exactly,
they don't want to hear that.
If you had all that, you would have never committed a crime. Okay,
they don't want to hear that.
Yeah, because you didn't care about them. When you went and sold the drugs or sold the guns or robbed the bank, you didn't care about them. Don't give me that now. That's why you did it. You didn't give a fuck about.
And that analogy earlier that I gave you, Sean, and I knocked on your door and I said, "Yeah, man, I stole the car, or we'll make a new one up. I stole a car radio out of your car, but I had 5 kids to feed, Sean. I mean, you got to understand where I'm coming from." Do you think Sean wants to hear that? No, he doesn't. No. He's like, I can care less about your 5 kids to feed.
You don't go put your whole life at risk of going to prison to feed your 5 kids, man. We got nobody starves in this country. We got food banks and soup kitchens everywhere, man. Don't give me that shit.
They don't want to hear the fact that you just don't want to go to prison because that you have a family to support, or else, like Sean said, you wouldn't have did crime to begin with, right? I mean, like you should have considered that befhere. That's what the judge is thinking. You should have considered that before you did the crime. Your family. No, why are you bringing that up now? Why is that now a factor?
You know what gets me is, I made a bad decision. I made a bad choice. No, I ordered the Big Mac instead of a quarter pounder. That's a bad choice and decision. What you did was you fucked up, man.
Because the message you're conveying, because the message you're conveying, right, Sean? Follow me on this. I think you agree with this. Is if you do that, you're basically conveying to the judge that you're sorry that you got caught.
Yes.
And if that's all you're sorry for, then that's just not going to work.
You're just definitely going to do it again, but you'll be smarter.
Yeah. So if you're sorry that you got caught because you hurt your family for this, like, are they the victims? No, the government's the victims. They are the victims. Don't get me wrong. They are, but the judge doesn't care to hear that, though. The prosecutor doesn't care about hearing, "Oh, you're sorry to your family," and you like, no, they're not the true victims as far as they're concerned, right?
Right.
They're not there for that, all right?
Your family is a victim as a result of what you did.
Right. The other thing that it's important to have that people might overlook this, and I overlooked this, that thank goodness my attorney kind of got me up to speed, is speaking of taxes, Sean, is you should go into, if you can, you should go into a federal case at sentencing date, being current on your taxes. What I mean is at least having them filed. Now, you don't have to have all your debt paid if you owe. Obviously, that would be the best case scenario. But you should, at the very least, be a filer, if that makes any sense, of your taxes.
Well, and if you haven't worked, just put all zeros down and file. It's that easy.
Correct. Correct. And I didn't know that. I mean, I'm overlooking these things. I've never been in the situation. Like, I haven't filed for a few years. I'm thinking like, well, I need to do taxes. Okay. So I had to do that. And then the other thing that I don't want to segue into this, that I know this is a tough discussion, but I think it's important. And Sean, I think you know where I'm going with this, is the ever elusive 5K. So let me explain to you guys that are watching this. I'm not telling you to do a 5K.
This is different in the state program, feds, and a 5K. I mean, tell them, because most people in a camp and low have one. It's basically you told on yourself. Maybe they said you're going to testify if we need you to, but and usually never happens. You tell on yourself and they give you this 5K, but you get some time off. And
there are varying degrees of the 5K. You can get a 5K letter if you're lucky and fortunate. Now you can lay all the cards out on the table, and nothing is promised to you. And they'll tell you that, hey, you're not guaranteed this 5K. And there's been a lot of situations where people had said, hey, well, why am I not getting the 5K? And what a 5K, as Sean mentioned, is it's information that the government does not know. It's helping the government laying the cards out on the table of whether it's your case or something other, to where it helps them out. That is the absolute most effective way to mitigate your situation. Everything I just said to you, as far as wearing the suit, having your taxes done, doing all these things, those are all good things, very good things. But when I say the 5K is absolute, it is the absolute most powerful tool in the federal system that a defendant can use if given the opportunity. And sometimes people don't have any information.
Sometimes you don't get that opportunity.
And you don't get that opportunity. And if you can, and if you're willing, and you have to weigh, and it's not for everybody. It's not everybody, because you have to weigh out a lot of things, like a lot of things. Like, is this the right thing for you to do or not? With me, my situation was pretty simple. I had a co-defendant that they were looking for. Now, I did not know where he was. That's the straight up truth. That feds know that. They knew that. They didn't believe me, but they found out I didn't know where he was. But I did break down every little nit and detail of how I committed my crime and how I was able to formulate the whole thing. And they charged me and my co-defendant with a conspiracy case. And I did end up getting a 5K downward departure recommendation from the AUSA because of the information that I was, fruitful with. So once again, it's everybody's situation is unique to their own. It's not something that I would just say, hey, it's an absolute for everybody, because it's not. But I can tell you this for a fact, and you can ask any attorney, you can ask anybody who's been in this situation. It's the government, to put yourself in the best situation possible is that 5K. If you get the 5K, and a meaningful 5K, it's the most powerful tool that you can have in your arsenal. If you have it in your arsenal, which you may not.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, very true. And this is different than a lot of people are thinking. Well, I don't even want to say that word, but in the feds, like me, they sat me down with 8-9 lawyers to tell them what I did, which they already had on paper anyways. So I get a couple points shaved off my sentencing guidelines. I do a little less time, and I just basically I confess. Is what it is. In my case, it was they just wanted me to confess, so I confessed.
Now I can also tell you this too. I knew going into this, after talking with my attorney, and I hear what you're saying. I'm gonna actually respond to that. I knew that with me being charged as a white collar crime, with my time looking at 30 months ish, that I was going to be 100% eligible for a federal prison camp. Now I wasn't going to be happy with that, but where I'm getting at is this: I was not going to end up in a low, a medium, or a high U.S. penitentiary. Definitely wasn't going to be an ADX Florence Supermax. Sean worked there as his job.
I worked there as an inmate across the street.
As an inmate, right, when he was at the federal
Go home
prison.
and sleep at the prison camp across the street, and then daytime come to the supermarket.
So that's why I said everything is situational. If you're looking at, you're a white collar, nonviolent criminal with like little to no history, and you're going to be eligible for a camp, and you're going to go to a camp, the politics are going to be severely night and day by comparison to the mediums and the high.
Yeah, you're not even allowed to have anybody's paperwork, including your own, in a camp. They'll send you the shoe and everything else.
But I get it. I get it.
Most people in the camp have some kind of K on them, and I mean, there are people who ratted out their whole office,
right?
Stuff like that.
So I weighed out all. I weighed out everything.
And those are rats. Those are rats. Right. Yeah. When you get to prison, and they're not really looking, but they're not going to kill you in a camp over that. Now you'll get killed in a penitentiary over that, sure.
Correct. There's people who cannot walk the yard in the mediums or the highs, and I'll be honest with you, even though, and they just wouldn't be understanding to that. If I were to tell them, hey, they seen me wire the money from my account to my co-defendant's account, it's just you get green light. The green light in the mediums and the highs is like, immediately if there's a chomo or if there's a person who, they worked with the government on any level, you have that jacket, and you don't want to have that jacket going into a medium or a high. So that's a different scenario. That's not what this. Yeah,
and that's that's being a CI, a confidential informant, wearing a wire. And all. Yeah, that's a snitch. That's a rat and all that, man.
Sure.
With me, my co-defendants.
Sure.
I mean,
I knew my situation was a little bit different.
I had nobody to tell on. I had nobody to tell on. I was the leadership, so. Even my fiance wore a wire against me. Yeah. And she told me, but you know what I told her?
Oh, wow.
I wasn't angry. I said, if you never met me, you wouldn't even be going to prison. I hope they gave you a good deal. Don't worry. I already told them myself, there's nothing new. So I hope they gave me a good deal. And I wasn't mad because I blame myself for putting her in that position. That's the way I felt about it. I mean, sure, it kind of hurts a little that she wore a wire.
It does.
I hope you got a good deal because tell them whatever you need to because I've already told them myself. So she still got 29 months, and I was never allowed to talk to her. Now I'm off probation. I guess I could look her up now, but she probably don't want nothing to do with me,
Yeah. So the thing is, Wendy. Okay, Darren definitely did your homework. Thank you, ATL. My homework was this channel here. Believe it or not, everything that I knew, because this was the most applicable for me, a guy in my situation, a white collar defendant. That was walking in a similar parallel path, different background, but still similar in the white collar charge that Sean was in. So that's why I watched this channel, because it was applicable for me.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I was able to, help somebody. And I get calls from and other people, and it just gives me a whole nother reason to keep going. Sometimes I think I'm just some old guy washed up. I'll be 60 next year. I've been in prison and jail, and might as well just kill me. I got nothing left to give to the world. And then I get a call from someone like you, and it just gives me a reason. I'm valuable now.
Like I told you, man, I got a 4-year-old that just turned 4 not too long ago, a 3-year-old that turned 3. So I mean, and a significant other that has an 11-year-old. So I also take care of him. And so it's really tough, to be separated from your loved ones. So you were a huge part in preparing me psychologically, mentally, and trying to
hug them, tell them you love them. I don't care if you just had a fight with your lady. You need to hug her and tell her you love her.
And there were a lot of fights because this was very hard on the family.
Because you did this to them. You did this to them.
Yeah,
I'm not still have done. Right. Even though now you got the probation ahead of you, you still did this to them. And their house, and they can come over any time of the day or night and disrupt your whole house, whatever they want to search it. In the feds, they can search your kids' rooms, your wife. It doesn't matter. In the state, they only search your room. Feds can search anywhere they want.
Right.
Anywhere at your job too. Anywhere in the office. The guy in the back at the office that you've never even met, they can go search his office because of you, because of what you did. So remember that. It's not over yet.
Yeah. If I was a single guy, didn't have a significant other and kids, it would have been definitely a lot easier. But let me see that comment. Guess you pick and choose what you answer. No, what was your question? I'm sorry. I didn't catch that. What other question did I miss? I didn't see it.
He kind of disagrees about the committed crimes when he was homeless. I've been homeless 3 times myself, so I've been there.
Sometimes you have no choice. But yeah, man, it's tough when you have kids and you know, that sort of thing. But I'm definitely glad to be home. Very fortunate. You know, like I said, I literally, I'm just so humble about it. You know, some people say you shouldn't be home, you should be in federal prison camp. But I disagree. I'm glad to be here. I'm happy to be here, and I want to be here. And I'm definitely a lot of respect to all those that do the same thing, that are getting prison, because they're going through it right now. My heart goes out to them and their families.
You know what? I would suggest you start a YouTube channel or a podcast or Instagram or something, or you have some work to do, my friend, for other people. That's my little premise, that the reason this is happening, because there's some people that need your help right now. So it's your turn to give back, man.
Man, I don't know if I'm strong enough like that yet. I'm still.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are, man.
You're the Miyagi. I'm the Daniel.
Start with the 30-second TikTok or something, man.
You know what I'm saying? So, I don't even have TikTok, believe it or not, Sean. So I got a question for you though, Sean. So now that I'm on this federal pretrial, or not pretrial, I keep saying pretrial, federal
probation,
supervised release, probation. What do I have to look forward to on that? Like, is it hard, difficult? Like, what's the layout on that?
They're gonna assign you somebody first for maybe 2 or 3 months until you get a permanent one, and that maybe lasts a year, and then they're gonna switch you up again, because there's different levels of trust that you build. But every time I went through 4 different probation officers. The last one was here in New Mexico. They let me transfer states because of this job to help people. But you have to earn and build your trust all over again every time you get a new probation officer.
Oh, wow.
And that can take a year or 2 years, or it doesn't even happen. Some of them are going to judge you before they've met you, what they see on paper, and they've already made their judgment, and nothing's going to change that the whole time you're on paper. Other ones, you can kind of earn a little trust. And some people believe, their job is to violate you and send you back. I'm not sure I agree with that completely. Some of them are on power trips, man. Some of them have been doing this for 20 years. They're just waiting to retire, and it's their pension and all they care about. And you're not going to get in the way of that. So you're not giving me any trouble. If you do, I'll just lock you up. It's that easy. I don't really care. They're going to have that attitude. Other ones are going to be a little more, I do want you to get a job. You don't pass every drug test. Don't let me catch you with anything in your house that you're not supposed to have. You do the right thing, and we'll be fine. They're not going to be your friend. Don't let them think they will. I do know a story about a lady probation. My first pretrial officer actually left her position to go and live with a client she had she was like being, he was indicted. He was going to federal prison. Well, he got out, and she went and hooked up with him and left her job. But that's not going to happen to you, okay?
Right. So I haven't met my probation officer yet. I remember I told you that I haven't met.
And that's going to be a temporary one, that first one. But you're still going to have to earn his trust, and you have to tell your story.
What about travel? Like, as far as, let's say, if I wanted to, my family and we wanted to go to, I live in Las Vegas, but let's say we wanted to go to maybe next summer to the beach in California or something like that.
$100,000 to the government. What the hell? You're going to go on vacation? No, you pay us back first, and then we'll talk. Right. Oh, can I just go? You want to go buy a car for you? Anything you buy, you got to show receipts for now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. Maybe groceries, they're not really going to check, but you want to go buy a new wardrobe? You owe me $100,000, motherfucker. Okay. Right. I want to know where every penny you make goes, and you're going to have to show that every month what you've done with your money. And they're what the hell you doing buying a new TV and a computer? You owe me $100,000.
Yeah, they don't care that it's Christmas. They're like, hey,
they don't give a hell. You owe me $100,000, man.
And I get it.
You can buy a Twinkie for your kid, but that's about it, man. You owe me $100,000, dude. Okay, you understand?
I get it.
I'm gonna violate and throw you back. I want my goddamn money, and that's what you're gonna live with for the next 2 years. And it's gonna be it's as simple as that, man. I want my goddamn money, or I'll throw you back. I'll make you go to prison. You got lucky your time served. I'll show you your time served. All right.
So that's what I was going to ask. I'm wondering, if these probation officers, because I'm in a little bit different category, they're used to getting people when they get out of prison coming to them, the reentry type situation. But because I didn't get sentenced to prison, I wonder if they're going to be a little bit more tougher on me and have some animosities. because
They
they're
might.
going to feel
They
like,
may.
hey, you think you just got it off scot clean, which I don't
Yeah, they
think
may.
that at all. But by
They
comparison to what a lot of
may
people
not.
did,
Yeah. They may not agree with the judgment and said, "Oh yeah, well
right?
I'll do what I can to make sure this guy does see the prison. I'll violate you then."
Sure,
Yeah,
that's what I was
sure.
thinking too, and I'm a little bit paranoid of that. So I have to definitely be on my P's and Q's,
Yeah.
you
Now you
know. And
make it a great one. You make it a good one. The one I had here in New Mexico, I never trusted her the whole way, but everything she said, she was honest about. And 4 months before I got up, she said, "This will probably be the last time I have to see you." I didn't believe her at all. But she was right. I've talked to her since I've been
so, was
off
it
probation.
monthly? At least in your situation, is it a monthly visit in the
Uh,
beginning, or
Yeah,
how?
you go at first. You physically go to their office, or they come to your house, and it was maybe 2 or 3 times a month the first month. But after I'd been on there a little while, I just had to send a paper in every month. I'd do it online, but there's
Okay.
always the physical check-ins. They're always going to at least they have to every so often they have to physically see you somewhere in your district.
Okay.
And you're going to have conditions like leaving. I couldn't leave. The jurisdiction was like I was in the San Francisco area, and I couldn't go. There's only 3 counties I could stay in. I couldn't cross borders. I was not allowed to go to casino. We talked about you were. I
Sure.
couldn't. There was no alcohol or drugs allowed whatsoever. Some people, no problem. They can just drink, not to excess. They call it. But yeah, any credit cards I couldn't apply for, couldn't have, couldn't keep,
Yeah.
anything like that. If I wanted to buy a car, they let me buy a used car for $1,800, which I still have and drive today. But that was a hard one to. They go, "You got $1,800 saved up. You owe me money again." I go, "I've been putting out
Yeah.
$200 away a month and making my restitution payments." So they went ahead and let me do that so I could get back and forth to work. But that was a hard sell. I had to, so I had
Right.
to put it, save. I had to ask permission to save money,
Wow.
So it's tough, but you build up their trust, so to speak, after a while, and they ease off a little, but they're always ready to get you.
Yeah, I kind of so when I first went in the other day out here in Las Vegas, because you have 72 hours after I flew back from Kansas City from court, I had 72 hours to at least go to the probation office and introduce myself and etc. And I got one of the senior officers, and he sat me down, and he's like looking over my paperwork and says, "I see you did 3 years unsupervised release. Well, good for you. But I will tell you this. Had you did this PPP loan out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, I don't know how you didn't touch prison, but yeah, you would have, And it was almost like he was mad.
Yeah,
It's almost like he was mad because I didn't get prison.
Yeah. See, that's a prejudice. They're all going to have that. They probation in the employees of the federal government have no problem telling you their political views and their opinions.
He made me nervous, man. I was like, "Oh shoot!" He says, "I'm not going to be your officer, but I'm gonna let you know right now. You better not be in any of these casinos. You better not do this and that because, like what you just said, Sean. He's like, you owe $100,000 still to the government. You better
my
not.
Boss. That's my boss. That's my boss. That's my paycheck. You owe money to. Yeah, that's how they look at it.
Yeah. There was almost like they was taking it personal, like I stole his money specifically. But that was the impression I was getting. And I get it. I do. But that was never their demeanor or mannerisms or etiquette out there in Kansas City where I was going to court. This is like, but I get it. I did every
the day in court, all the people that were getting sentenced, what were their charges? Do you remember?
Drug charges. Oh no, there was a fraud case. This poor guy, he was I don't know if he's Colombian or whatever. He was in custody. He's been in custody for 3 years. And
the hard way, yeah.
Oh my God. And his deal was cell phones. I don't know what he was doing. I didn't understand they don't go over the whole logistics or everything, but it was a cell phone situation. They were stealing cell phones and selling them or something like that. It was like $180,000 loss. Okay. And, but he was in custody for 3 years, and he got it bad because he ran off and went to, Colombia, and he got picked up by Interpol.
Interpol, yeah.
Yeah, the international police, and they shipped him back to the United States, and he was literally finally getting sentenced after 3 years in custody. And the good news or the bad news is this: he ended up getting like 30. It was like, I don't know what it was. It was 3 years and 6 months is what it was, something like that. So he already did 3 years just waiting.
Yeah, so his time served was a real time served. Yeah.
So get this: he got a recommendation from the judge because his attorney was saying, "Hey, can you go ahead and make sure the BOP calculates that, though?"
Okay.
You know what I mean? So he got that recommendation for the calculation of credit while he's being detained the whole time, and then hopefully he just gets out like in a few months.
But the most of the other ones there were for drugs.
Yeah, drug cases and stuff like that.
Kansas is a no zero tolerance state on that. Maybe that's their focus. So somebody like you comes along, they're
No, they do white collar. They do it all. I was looking up, on Pacer, just everything, trying to find out all the different stuff that my prosecutor is prosecuting, all the different stuff that my judge specifically was sentencing, and it's all across board. It's not. I mean, it's white collar crime. They're hard all the way across board, and I was just very, 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 very fortunate, that.
I believe it was something inside your soul that the judge felt, and there was some realness that this is not.
And the prosecutor too, because the prosecutor is what recommended the downward departure, and the judge had to go with it in order for it to,
They probably saw that this guy won't be back in my courtroom. I get a feeling, and in your case, it's a good feeling,
for
that
sure.
they have for you. And
like I said, I'm just super fortunate. I don't. It's not a victory lap. It's one of them. Hey, I know the meteor came down and crashed and it killed a lot of people. I don't know why I'm still here, but I'm fortunate and grateful and humble about it. And that's, that's all I can really say. And all the things that I recommended is what put me, I think, in the best possible position, with the exception of I didn't have the debt paid back, which I would have loved to have had that paid back. Don't get me wrong, and I'm gonna have it paid back.
Well, I know when a plane crashes and they show it, that tailpiece is always still intact. So if I ever go on a plane, put me in the back seat. Okay, my best chance.
I always sit in the back, man. I do.
And I think you walked away from this plane crash, but you're gonna never forget it. And the next time,
every day I wake up, like I told you, it's been a week since I've been back from Kansas City. Today is 1 week, and literally every single day, I'm just like, I'm
Yeah.
A lot of people can't say this, but I'm going to be here for Christmas. I hope to be here for next Christmas and the Christmas after that, and God willing, health and all that. I mean, good health, but just take one day at a time, live life to its fullest, to the best you can, and just be humble and grateful for everything.
Keep in touch with me, and I want to have you on the show again a couple more times.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
But any last words of wisdom or advice or something for anyone out there, regardless of going to prison?
The only thing I would say is if you got caught, just own it. Literally own it. Not just own it for the feds, but own it in your heart, because to a degree they can see through it. I know it sounds crazy, but they can see through the BS. And if you really authentically want to change and you authentically regret what you did, I think that's really the best thing. And you're doing things proactively to change your ways, and kind of like me, went to a therapist, and I'm still going. And if you really do want to change and you regret it, it's going to be transparent how you deliver that, and try to, if you're not good at talking, okay, there's a lot of people that aren't, just be genuine and down to earth as you can, and be authentic and transparent about what you did. And that's the only thing I could really recommend, honestly.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. And thank you,
man. I really appreciate it.
Keep in touch, man, and have a great night, okay?
You're out there changing lives, Sean. I truly can't say that enough, man, about you. So,
well, here at Wings for Life, too, if you're in Albuquerque, I help you get a job and a place to live, and we've got clothes for you, and I can help you get started, man. Okay. And I got places that'll hire you regardless of your criminal history. So give us a call. We're in the book. Google us, Wings for Life. My number's on all my videos. So thank you, guys.
Hey, salute to you, Sean. Right? Thank you, man.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Bye.